Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. The advance of ISIS in Iraq continued, and so does the purge of Christians and other religious minorities from the region. Chaldean Patriarch Louis Sacco has called for immediate humanitarian aid and, quote, a professional, well-equipped army to halt the genocide in northern Iraq. My next guest is a spokesman for the Eparchy of St. Thomas the Apostle in the U.S. He's here to update us on the dire situation facing the Chaldean community in Iraq and the recent efforts at the UN. AUDAY ARABO joins us now from New York. AUDAY, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Raymond.
Now tell me, we've been hearing these reports about Mount Sinjar and the U.S. dropping aid to the Yazidi population there. What of the Chaldean Christians? What is the state? Where are they?
The Chaldean Christians and all Iraqi Christians are remain in a dire situation currently. They've been displaced out of their homes. We had a letter from our patriarch just on Sunday that close to 140,000 have been displaced, most of them living in Erbil and Dahok. And the situation remains dire. I mean, more food is getting there, but not everybody's getting the aid. And so the people on the ground continue to tell us that a number of things, that they need medication, they need water, they need food, they need shelter. You know, winter is around the corner, and it's unfortunate that what ISIS has started, but they haven't been able to finish in terms of a genocide, Mother Nature and the elements, if these people don't have the care and attention that they so drastically need today, may finish.
You were at the UN today. You and the bishop have been meeting, the Chaldean bishop in Michigan has been meeting with UN officials. You met with the deputy secretary today. What do you know?
Well, it was actually historic the last 2 days at the United Nations. We had both Bishop Francis as well as Bishop Sarhad Jummo from the west side, and our delegation included a number of people from San Diego and Michigan, and they arms to our message. To actually have a meeting with the Deputy Under Secretary Eliasson was a big moment for us. And after the meeting, they elevated the situation in Iraq to a level 3, which is the highest emergency situation that the UN has. And so they did that to expedite resources and expedite everything they do, because obviously the UN is such a big network. They're known for being slower than some, but they see this as not a full-blown genocide at this point, but they definitely see this as crimes against humanity, war crimes, and we even met with the special representative on the prevention of genocide today as well, and he sees this as he's trying to put the links together, because under the Geneva Convention from 1948, there's certain things they have to do before they declare it. But they said, declaring genocide or not, we need to act today to save these people, especially the Iraqi Christians, as well as the Yazidis and other religious minorities.
AUDAY, I want to read something to you. There was an article I saw just today. Episcopal vicar in Iraq, Canon Andrew White, is reporting that these militants have moved into the abandoned churches. That's where they're setting up headquarters. And he reports horrific things. Literally, a member of his flock watching his 5-year-old son hacked in half in front of him. What are you hearing from the Chaldeans on the ground? How dire is this situation? Or are they just is it a refugee crisis at this point?
It's a very dire situation. I mean, it's all the above. It's you know, we called it 8 weeks ago when some of us actually went to Washington, D.C. and put the language together for the House Resolution 683 that we were calling this a genocide. This, in our eyes, whether from a technical standpoint or not, the UN declares it a genocide or not, it is a genocide. It is crimes against humanity. They're trying to eliminate systematically, you know, the Iraqi Christians, the Syrian Christians, the minority Yazidis, and everybody else. And anybody who doesn't, you know, follow ISIS, even the Muslims that actually support and speak out in favor of the Christians, they've been executed as well. And when they grab you, they don't really give you a choice. If you're lucky, they'll say, you know, you could convert or pay a jazeera. Most times, they just kill you. And they, you know, what we've heard about the beheading of children, they're hanging men, they are raping the women. The sex trade is atrocious. it's the worst thing you could ever actually see. And I say that because today we see these pictures because of social media and other things.
Yeah.
The genocides of the past, the crimes of the humanity against in the past, we never saw pictures like, you know, these ISIS, you know, devils, because I don't really have another name for them, kicking around 6 human heads playing soccer, or, you know, heads on spears for the entire world to see in horror. And so if we don't act soon, not just as the United States, but as a world community, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Okay,
I mean, this is a genocide occurring before our eyes.
I'm sorry to cut you off. We're pressed for time. The President of the United States has authorized targeted airstrikes. Those continue to repel ISIS, particularly in this northern territory. He's also authorized a lot of humanitarian drops. To the President's mind, this is a fait accompli and mission accomplished. He spoke on Thursday. Here's what he had to say about these drops to the mountaintop where so many of these religious minorities were harbored. Watch.
So the bottom line is that the situation on the mountain has greatly improved, and Americans should be very proud of our efforts. Now, the situation remains dire for Iraqis subject to ISIL's terror throughout the country. And this includes minorities like Yazidis and Iraqi Christians. It also includes many Sunnis, Shia, and Kurds. We're going to be working with our international partners to provide humanitarian assistance to those who are suffering in northern Iraq.
Is that enough in your mind, AUDAY ARABO?
Definitely not. Definitely not. You know, if the UN, as big as it is, calls it a level 3 emergency, I don't understand where the President's coming from. The humanitarian point, the entire world community is stepping up. I mean, the Vatican's donating money, the UK is donating money. The leaders on the situation accepting Iraqi Christians and religious minorities are France and Australia. We actually met with a number of other missions at the UN, from Turkey to Belgium, Austria, Germany. You know, more help is going to be coming, and we want a more coordinated effort. But the U.S. is supposed to lead on this issue. The U.S. is the leader of the free world. Everybody looks to the U.S. Even at the UN, they re-emphasize to us that we like the U.S. to lead. And we hope the U.S. does lead, especially since, you know, it's not maybe a direct cause of what we've done in that country, but without a doubt, nobody could dispute it's an indirect cause.
Well, this has been going on for a long time, though, AUDAY. I mean, this persecution of the Chaldeans and Iraqi Christians, this was happening very early on when the United States went into Iraq. I've been reporting on this, it seems, for more than a decade now, since we initially went in. Why now do you think there is the reluctance to talk about what's happening to the Christian community there?
I really don't know, but you know, the numbers speak for themselves. In 2003, we had close to 1.4 million Iraqi Christians in Iraq. 8 weeks ago, we had, you know, around 400,000. That number, obviously, with 140 what they call IDPs, internally displaced people, is just, you know, the start. We need to get these people out. We need to get them to a safe haven. I don't understand why the President is doing what he's doing. In a lot of regards, it might be political. I'm not sure. We did meet at the White House a couple weeks ago with a high-level member of his National Security Council. We are emailing them every other day with our concerns, and in emails, at least back, they recognize the plight of the Christians. But, you know, we need to see a lot more from the President, and the world needs to see a lot more, because the UN and the entire world community sees the U.S. as the leader of the free world, and we need to act like it. We have a moral obligation to these people. You know, the UN Secretary General, when he came to power, one of his first speeches, he talked about, we want to be the voice for the voiceless. Well, the U.S. needs to be the voice for the voiceless as well. We can't live in America and enjoy our freedoms and everything we have, and then just turn a blind eye when there's a genocide, whether it's in Iraq and Africa, anywhere around the world. But I'll tell you what I found out today that was very, very heart-wrenching from my standpoint is, you know, the Deputy Undersecretary said he's never seen this much turmoil and this much need in the world as today. Yet he's very limited in resources. The resources obviously come from member states. Yeah. And so, you know, their hearts and their spirits are with us, but without the U.S., you know, we don't get far. And so I really encourage people to let their congressional officials, whether they're senators or congressmen, know and keep the pressure on the administration to do what's right by these people.
We only have a few more moments here. Nouri al-Maliki, the Prime Minister of Iraq, has stepped down. Is that good for the Chaldean and Christian community in Iraq?
We hope so. We definitely hope so. When we met with the White House a couple weeks ago in the Roosevelt Room, they had told us that they like to see a new prime minister to bring in more inclusive government. I'm just worried that might be too late, because ISIS is on the march. We heard that they broke through a couple areas in Kurdistan. Mm-hmm. We heard, haven't confirmed for sure, that there were a couple bombs dropped in Baghdad yesterday. We hope it's not too late, because I'll tell you the biggest heart-wrenching piece of this, Raymond, is the Chaldeans specifically, the Iraqi mm-hmm. Christians. We're the indigenous people of that land. We go back 7,513 years. Yeah. And to see us pretty much disappear, according to the numbers, and people that have always said, this is my land, I want to die here, this is my country, this is the dirt that I came from, they're calling us by the hundreds every day saying, get us out, we need to leave.
That's the most tragic.
That's what we were talking to folks in Turkey. Without a doubt, our history, our culture, our language, we speak Aramaic, I mean, all these treasures for the world to see, mm-hmm. and it's literally being erased. And we're just sitting back as the U.S. not doing enough.
No, this is the cradle of Christianity in the Middle East, and therefore a part of our universal heritage that is being decimated every day. And we thank you for what you're doing and for joining us today. You can follow the latest news from the Chaldean community in Iraq and find out how you can help by visiting helpiraq.org. I was very impressed by this. The site is sponsored by the Eparchy of St. Thomas the Apostle. 100% of the relief collected goes to assist the beleaguered Christian population in Iraq, and it's direct aid, church to church. Helpiraq.org.